Again, thank you everyone for joining. We are going to be going over the product release for B Stores for Znode. We're super excited everyone's here to join us. And with that, we'll kick it off with a little bit of housekeeping. As always, we will be recording this webinar. We will be sending it out after via email, and then we'll also be available on the Znode website as well as our YouTube channel. So you can look for it there. During the webinar, we'll have the chat feature available. I will be monitoring it and we can answer questions as needed, but most likely we'll just keep the questions to the end to be answered. And then we'll have time to get to all those questions. So just a quick agenda here for today's webinar. We'll do some introductions. Then Frank is going to go through use cases for B Store. We'll go through the administration side of the B Store, self-service aspects, and then, like I said, some Q&A. So to kick it off, thank you all for joining again. My name is Dawn Halpin. I'm the marketing manager for Amla Commerce, and we have Frank here. Frank, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, yes, Frank Connelly. I'm the Director of Product Development, and I'm going to demo some B Store for you today. All right, so we'll start out, like Dawn said, with some use cases. These are not, by all means, these are not all the use cases. We have many more listed out on our website, znode.com, if you want to look at some additional information, but here's some kind of high-level information with a couple of use cases. So the first one is franchise stores, right? So franchise owners can set up store configuration and rules and templates and grant self-service access to franchisees. So the franchisees can help manage the stores, they can launch stores, help manage some of the products, the orders, while the franchise owners can still maintain that brand consistency throughout all their franchise stores. Another use case that we have for B Stores is what we call team stores. So equipment and uniform manufacturers can enable institutions, schools, teams, clubs to set up stores that can be branded accordingly to those teams, right, or those organizations, and they can feature a set of curated products. Another common use case that we're seeing for this is what we're calling sales rep stores. There's kind of two parts to it, but manufacturers and master distributors can enable sales reps or agents to quickly set up personalized stores for prospecting and generating leads. Reps can view, additionally, reps can log into the self-service portion of that to view quotes and orders that come through, right? All right, so we'll move on to the B Store administration portion of it. So the manufacturers and suppliers, what we're trying to do here is allow to more easily enable channels and growth of digital sales at scale. So utilizing existing Znode functionality to achieve this goal. And some of the benefits of the B Store program is to retain or gain customer data that's usually lost because of disintermediation. Maintain consistency of product information across all of your, let's say reseller stores or across all of your channels. Curate pricing strategy options and having at least some option for controlling the pricing across all those channels. And obviously reduce store administration cost was a big goal of ours. So the solution is what we're calling channel enablement at scale. So with the introduction of this B store functionality, the administrators or the master distributors or manufacturers will be able to manage the B store program according to their needs, and set up kind of the registration to allow customers to be part of that program, right? They can curate catalogs and price lists. Like I had said, they're available in those B stores for the B store programs themselves, right? They can set up the default theme in CSS that all of the B stores can use. So it's the look and feel of what that storefront's going to be for the end user or the shopper. Launch or activate B stores. So the administrator can also create and launch these B stores themselves using the admin tool, which I'll show you in a minute. Again, all of the orders that are coming or being generated by these B stores still all go into that centralized location within Znode. So the manufacturers still have access to all the quotes and orders through the admin console. And then, like I mentioned, they can permission additional managers or B store owners to help launch and manage those B stores. So let's demo the admin console port of it. Let me log in here. So we're logging into the administration console for Znode. And like I had mentioned, you can essentially take a existing store within Znode and essentially do all your configuration on that single store. Any integrations that you've done, any of your setup here that you've done on a particular store, essentially get passed down to those B stores themselves. So you have one place that you can do the majority of that configuration. And then by enabling the B store program here, if you see on the left down here, we've added a tab here for some of the configuration for B stores themselves. So first you can enable the store, so you can turn on and off the feature. When this is disabled, all of these additional fields just go away, but we'll leave it enabled for now. The administrator can indicate if the B store request page should be available to the main store. This flag here allows like resellers to say, hey, I want to be part of this reseller program that you're offering here. So there's a registration page. They can fill out their information and send that to the manufacturer or the master distributor and say, hey, I want to resell your products. That's what this flag does. Some additional configuration here. You can see that this is the theme that you can set. So we have a base theme for all of the B stores as well. And like I'd mentioned, all of the B stores that get launched will use the same theme. So there's some configuration for that as well. And you can also configure the URL that all of those B stores are going to reside at. So here's an example that we just have a subdomain that all of the B stores can be added to. Additionally, if you see here, we can associate catalogs that can be used and surfaced to those B store programs as well. You can have one or many catalogs associated, and the administrator can decide which can be used in the B store by configuring it accordingly. And then these will essentially be the starting point for the products that show up on those particular B stores. Same thing applies for price lists. So you're creating price lists and catalogs within, like you normally would within Znode, and then surfacing them to the B store program. So you can have one or many price lists that the B store managers or owners can use. Okay, so the other thing that I'll show you here is related to the users. So I had mentioned that you can once the user essentially says, I want to become part of this program, the administrator can come in here and permission a user to have B store access. So we've added some access levels here, and you can essentially say whether the user is going to be an owner or a manager or both. And this will allow them to either manage the stores, and if you're an owner, you can launch one or many stores utilizing the self-service app, which I'll show you in a minute. This is an example of, since I had already logged in as this user and I've already launched a few stores, all the stores that this particular user has created show up in this list. And you can also, let's say if you want to give access to a particular store that this owner didn't create and you want them to help manage, you can associate it right from here. Okay. The other thing worth mentioning, which I'm not going to demonstrate everything today, but we do have a new section under stores and reps called B stores. And this is a list of all the B stores that have been created. Administrators can create and launch and manage new B stores from this area as well. But the cool part of this feature is that we're allowing B store owners and managers to create those stores by themselves. So it really depends on how you plan on managing your program. So that is the at least the admin portion of it.
Frank, I'm going to jump in with a good question that was surfaced.
Sure.
So the question is, so these are like additional child level stores under the existing stores. So as a distributor, you might have client A with child B stores for multiple different locations and users.
Yep, that's exactly correct. So this Maxwell hardware store in this example that I'm showing is that parent store. And then every B store that's created utilizing this Maxwell hardware store is a child of that particular store. So all the configurations, all, everything comes along with that parent-child relationship. Good question. All right, so the second part of what we want to show you today is the what we're calling B store self-service, which is a key part of what we're trying to create here. And the goal for this was to really empower the middle B users in B2B to X or B2B to C business models, right? The middle B can easily create or manage stores on behalf. So the manufacturer doesn't have to bear the cost and the time to manage all the stores and create all the stores on behalf of their customers, right? So the benefit is simplified store and brand experience management, curate and personalized product selection. So you can, pick and choose which products you want to show on your particular B store. Leverage some pricing flexibility without managing complex rules, onboarding customers easily and having access to the customers that are, the shoppers of the store. Gain order and quote process transparency, so you can see, all the orders and maybe quotes that are being generated by your B store, and utilize those, store or performance metrics as well. So there we go. The solution is what we're saying, e-commerce made easy with the self-service app. So this application that we've created, the self-service app, is really meant to be making store administration and launching as easy as possible for people that maybe don't have their own web presence or really don't manage e-commerce on a daily basis, right? So they'll be able to configure and launch B stores, configure the subdomain, add their store logo or their brand colors, and add messaging to certain areas of the site. They can limit the category and product availability, so they can essentially curate their catalog and their product assortment. Select price lists and show pricing. Manage users and registration, view store metrics, and essentially they can use, there's two different ways that you can launch these stores, and it can be a combination of both. So you can use them just to do transactional commerce, enable and view orders, or if you want to go through a quoting process, you can do that as well, or you can do both. So now we will go on to the demo of the store itself. So if I went to Maxwell Hardware Store, so this is essentially that parent store that everything gets tied to, right? And I won't go through the registration process, but I've already registered. I've already been given access to create B stores. So we've added a spot in the navigation and on the dashboard. There's a spot as well to launch this new B store management application. So it's a separate application that we've created here to make the store creation process and management a little bit easier, right? So first you can see here, I've landed on a dashboard. I have already created and launched several stores. If this is your first time logging in and you don't have any stores yet, you just have this add new store, right? Because I'm an owner, I do have the ability to create new stores. The manager role can't create new stores, they can't delete stores, but they can help manage stores that an owner has given them access to. So there's kind of two parts of this particular application. There's the store creation process where we've essentially split this up into a stepped process. And all of this can be essentially customized if you want to introduce additional steps or add things to additional steps as well. All of this can be customized to your program needs. But we started out with trying to keep it as simple as possible. So we take the user through a couple steps here to launch your first store, and launch any subsequent store as well. It goes through the same process. So the store owner can enter a name. They can add their store description. Here they can add the subdomain. As you can see, we configured earlier through the admin. The store owner can pick their subdomain that they want their store to be accessed at. And this little check mark will turn red or green depending if that subdomain is taken already. And then there are some additional settings that can be configured here as well. So do you want your shoppers to be able to create accounts, or do you want to manage who gets access to it? Do you want to require login, or can someone shop your essentially go through your catalog and through your store without logging in? And do you want to show pricing? Are some options that we surfaced right away. The next step here is that branding and look and feel portion of it. So they can upload their logo and their fave icon. They can select their brand colors that essentially override the existing theme. That can be done here. I won't do that right now. And then this final step is where the store owner gets to see the catalogs that the manufacturer has surfaced to this program. So they can select a starting catalog, so your master catalog. And I'll show you in the next steps here, essentially whether you want to specify your products. So are you just going to take this catalog as is and just keep all of the categories and products that are in it and to create your store, or do you want to pick and choose and curate it further? And then finally, you know, the store gets created. So do you want to go manage that store, or you want to go back to the dashboard? And here you can see I've created this new store. And then each of these carts have some key information on it. The URL, obviously the name of it, the open and close date, which I'll show you in a minute, but you can essentially say when the store becomes shoppable, when it becomes accessible on an open date, and then, you know, maybe your program starts, store is only going to be open for a week, you can automatically shut it down after a week. Depending on how you configure the manufacturer configures their program, you can set them to be auto approved, or a main Znode administrator may have to approve each store before it goes live. And then you additionally have the ability just to activate or deactivate your store here. All right, so we will go into this store here just to talk through some of the additional management capabilities that we've built in this application. So on this first page here is the dashboard. And once you start selling and shoppers start submitting orders, you will see additional information here. So you can see how your store is performing. This store settings section here on the left, once we visit there, this will look familiar, some of this information. You've already filled up on that initial onboarding, that step process of store creation. There's some additional information. So if you have multiple price lists, you can select them here. You can add your contact information and those other flags that we saw during the onboarding process, right? So required login, show pricing. Additionally, we have a design section. And again, you can see where the logo has been attached and those theme colors are on this page. Additionally, we've added a content configuration. So there's in the starter theme that I had mentioned, there are 5 places that we've included these content areas that can be managed and customized essentially by the store owners. You can add more or not use all of these depending on how you set up your program, right? The cool part here is the product section. So this is where the store owners can further specify their assortment of products. Here on the left-hand side here, you can see the categories of that initial catalog that I had set up. So in this view, you can see and have the ability to view all of the different categories, subcategories that are in that particular catalog. And by clicking on them, then you can see the products that are included in those, right? And these checkboxes here, because I checked that I want to specify the products further of this catalog, these become available and I can select, you know, entire categories. I can, you know, just select specific products that I want to include in my storefront, right? So once you are essentially ready to or done configuring your particular catalog, you can save those changes and they will become available on your store. Additionally, we have some additional settings area or configuration areas here where users can be managed. Like I've mentioned before, all of this can be done individually, so I can add a new user, you know, one at a time and activate them. We also have a bulk importing. So if I want to download this template, add a list of users that I want to give access to my store and upload that to add users in a bulk fashion. The other thing to mention here is some additional actions. You can view the order history of each particular user. And you can see there are role management as well. So if I want to give this particular person here a manager role to help then manage my store, you can do that right here. So right now there's user, manager, and owner permissions. The owner is myself that I've already logged in as. Manager can help manage everything, minus creating new stores, and then the users are the shoppers, right? Additionally, we have two sections here for orders and quotes. So as orders are coming in, the store owner can view all of that information. They can see that order status that's being set through the main Znode admin and the details of each order. And the same goes for quotes. So you can see the quotes, the details of the quotes that have been submitted, where it is in the process, right? Okay. And then essentially once that B store is ready, you can essentially launch that B store. So you can activate it and then it will be ready for shopping. And I will just open up this store to show you an example. Again, this is the starting theme that you can then change and according to your particular program. But as you can see, it is a simplified store here. You can log in, you can shop, you can see the catalog that I have curated here. And there's some additional kind of sections where the content is being pulled in from those content areas that I showed in the self-service application. All right. Okay. I just wanted to mention that everything that you saw today, plus a lot more detail, you can have access to. There's a much more detailed demo in the Academy. And if you want access to that, you can contact us for that. Additionally, if you follow this link, we are looking for any additional information from a training standpoint, any ideas that you want to share with us or suggest from a training standpoint, let us know by utilizing this form, and we can get that created for you. All right. And that concludes.
Okay, we have a couple questions here in the Q&A. So the first one is, how is search handled for the B store? Is it, excuse me, is it simply utilizing the search configured for each catalog, or is there search specific setup per B store?
You do not have to set up the search for each B store. So it'll be kind of a combination of two things. So it's going to take the search configuration that you've set up for that parent store. That's where the majority of any configuration that you've done under the search setting, site search profile. If you've done any fine tuning there, it's going to take that profile on. But it will only use the product information, the product information from the curated catalog. So if you've curated and said, hey, I only want these two categories and the products within them, it's only going to reference those products within search. So there's no additional setting that you have to do or configuration for search related to B stores.
Okay, and the next question is, what if a user needs to be the owner or manager of a specific B store? However, they are members of another B store that they should not be owner or manager of. If that makes sense.
I think I understand the question. So basically, if let me go here. So let's say we don't want this manager here to be a manager of this B store anymore. I believe that was the question. So you can essentially lock that user, so then they don't have any access to this particular B store. The other way is to essentially have the administrator go in and remove access to that particular B store as well. So that could be done. Let me show you here. Let's use this as an example. And I don't have any, pick the wrong one. So let's say I have, I would show, if I have access to the stores, it would show up here, and then I could just kind of remove access from there, and then they wouldn't have access to that particular store. So let me pick this one instead. So if I wasn't supposed to have access to one of these stores, I could just delete it, and then the user doesn't have access to that B store anymore. And the opposite of that is if you needed to associate or give access to a different B store, the manufacturer or super admin could go in here and associate it that way, and give them access to the correct store, or the owner, let's say, wanted to give them access to this new test store, they could do that here as well, just by going here and saying add new user, enter their credentials, if they're a manager or a shopper, right through this application and then the screen, right? Hopefully that answers the question.
Okay, and then we have two more questions now. One just came in. First is, can B stores be created and configured via API? Oh, you're muted, Frank.
I was coughing, sorry. Everything that you see here started with APIs. So yes, all of this stuff can be done via API as well.
Okay, and last question here. Is there a way to manage B store users by user? Like being able to see if a user has access to multiple B stores? I think that's what you were just showing before.
Yes. So there might be two parts to that question. So definitely in the Znode admin, you can see individual users and what they have access to. So multiple stores here. From this application, though, we do not have that yet. So here essentially is if you're managing several users, let's say a team scenario, right? And you have several different, let's go back to the dashboard, and you have several different teams, and you have a assistant coach that you want to help manage 3 out of your 4 stores that you've created. Currently, through this application, there's no way to look at that particular coach to see their user and how many different stores they do or don't have access to. You can do that on an individual store by store basis, if that makes sense. So one-off through this application, but through the main admin, you can see one-to-many user relationships in B stores.
Okay, and then we have one last question that came in. Can we have different inventory levels for the different B stores?
Good question. Currently, no. That is each B store is going to take inventory from the main, the parent store that it's associated with.
All right, and that is all the questions we have. If you have any questions after the webinar, obviously feel free to reach out and we'd love to answer those as they come up.
Yep. And the one thing to remember with everything that I showed you today, just like main Znode, all of it can be extended. There's APIs that support all of this. So if you wanted to add functionality that had buy B store inventory, you can definitely extend it as you would any part of Znode, right? So it is possible. Again, if you have any additional questions, and this B Stores is coming out in the Znode 9.8 release, which is on October 20th. So coming up here. So if you want to learn more, contact your account manager or implementation partner for more information.
All right, thank you everyone for joining.
All right, thank you.